Yeah, baby, there we go. There we go. We are officially official out here in the YouTube street, StreamYard, and let me know that I'm live. Now I just gotta wait for YouTube to let you know that I'm live, and then we can begin with yet another episode of VypDrive. We got Trenton Marshall Sr. out there. What's up, Trenton? How you doing? We got my man Savage Greg Gadgets out there. What's up, Greg? Got Elijah. What's up? How y'all doing? Got my man, the Norwegian sensation, Even A out there. What's up? How you doing? How you doing? Thank you guys for joining me for yet another podcast. Oh, my head of security is in the building. El Jefe Reviews. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? We back, baby. We back for another one. Technically T2. Oh man. Oh, they are starting to file into the podcast. I am down for this. This is what I like to see. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? This one should be a good one today. Got Romina waiting in the cut. So without further ado, I think I'm going to get into the introduction and bring Romina in, and we're going to go to work. Whew. Okay, we are 89. Wow, 89. Okay. So, this is VypDrive episode 89. And with 89 brings one of the most well-traveled, badass business owners and creators of the YouTube space, baby. That's right. We got Red Romina. And she is coming up next on VypDrive, which starts now. What's up, people? This your boy Viper, the man about tech, and welcome back to another episode of VypDrive. This is the podcast about tech, hosted by the man about tech. And on today's podcast, I have one of the most well-traveled, business-savvy creators of the tech space of YouTube. We got her here. We got Miss Romina in the cut. Hey, Romina, how you doing?
Oh, I am good. I've never heard an intro so fire before.
Ooh, you know how we do on the podcast. You know how we do. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, man.
No doubt.
I feel like I'm not cool enough.
Oh, whatever. You know better. You know better. So, first question I'm going to ask you, like I do everybody else that's been on here for the first time. Romina, what brought you to YouTube?
It's social awkwardness.
You got to do better than that.
No, I mean, honestly, it was because at the time I had already been making videos. Like, I've been making videos for a long time. First with my dad's camcorder, because, you know, my mom, she never got me my own camcorder, and I was too young to make money to buy my own camcorder. So I was using my dad's old camcorder, like huge. I'm talking like, this is like, like you had an actual VHS tape inside of this camcorder. So I was using that. I mean, that's like the first time that I actually held a camera in my hand. And then as I got older and, you know, cameras got smaller and eventually bought my own camera, I was making all these videos with my friends and like in my bedroom, like I was just making videos, and at school, and there wasn't really a place to put them unless you put like a QuickTime file on like your website or something. It was very, rudimentary. Like it wasn't really very fancy. And then in 2006, I heard about this website called YouTube. Ooh. And I uploaded my first video, which I think my first video that I uploaded, I'm not sure if it specifically was that, but one of the first videos that I uploaded was I edited a video that I took of a baby seagull running back and forth from the water on the beach. And I put the music from Bambi. I don't know if you remember, but Little April Showers. Dun, 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 April showers, dun, 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 and I woo, right? And so I played that with the little baby seagull, and I think that was one of my first YouTube videos. But what brought me to YouTube was it was a place where I could post my videos and easily share them with people.
Ooh, okay. Now, I know that you have a production business, right?
Yep.
But I mean, I guess you were on YouTube before your production business came to be, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they kind of came in hand. When I first started YouTube back in 2006, it wasn't really a place that I was like creating stuff. It was a place where I was just uploading stuff that I was already creating off of the platform. And I didn't really start creating things like consciously for YouTube until years later. But I guess like around, it was around the same time that I produced my first feature film, and that was around that time. But I guess because when I first joined YouTube, there wasn't like this idea of like you have to create consistent content, you know? It was just like I was just uploading whenever and whatever. Like it wasn't like branding or anything like that. It was just like one video. Like I literally had a video where I just stared into a camera for 5 minutes. And that was the entire video. So it was just stuff like that where it was the Wild West. There weren't any rules. And I think at around that time, I was also producing stuff as well. I mean, I produced an entire web series too, for my friend Noel. He wrote and directed this web series, and he asked me to come on and produce it. And this was like way early on, where like web series were not really like a hot thing to do. Like people were like, "Oh, web series, like, oh, what's that?" You know. And it even was like seen as amateurish. Like at least in Hollywood, people would be like, "Oh, don't put that on your resume," you know, because that's like, right. And I produced this for him, and it was interesting because the concept behind it was we used the flip cameras. I don't know if you remember I think they were called the flip cameras. It was just a simple like rectangle shaped camera, and it just had one button, like hit record, and that was it. And it had a tiny little screen on the back of it. And the idea behind it was to film the entire web series using that in order to have them as a sponsor, which again was like way ahead of like what was, you know, that time period.
Right. Yeah, that you talking about some way back when type stuff right there. So on your main channel, you do mostly travel content, although with what's happening currently, that's a little more difficult. But I'm sure you'll be able to get back to that at some point. But you also have other channels on YouTube. I know you have an ASMR channel. You have a channel talking about how to work remotely. And I think you might have another channel. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So basically what's happened is because the YouTube algorithm doesn't like people who are diverse in interests, it becomes very difficult to post stuff and post things that are diverse. And so variety channels are just out of the question. Yep. And I have a lot of different interests, and I'm weird, but I'm also normal. So it's making all of these separate channels is a way for me to just express myself. Like when I have an idea that just wouldn't fit in my regular Red Romina channel, like I'll just put it on its respective channel, you know. And I'm not really worried too much about consistency and like having a schedule with any of that. The idea behind it is just to not limit myself creatively in my ideas. And, you know, if I want to make a video where I'm making animal noises, then I make that video, you know, and not worry about where I have to post it. Right.
Yeah, like you said, with the way the YouTube algorithm works, it's nice to be able to diversify your creativity across multiple channels. It's unfortunate that we have to do that, but at the same time, I mean, it's the good thing is that you have the option to do that. So it's good that you can have those multiple outlets to feed your creativity when need be.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way. I mean, like for me, ASMR is something that is relaxing, at least for me, like as a viewer. And I think it's a cool concept as well, just as a creator, which is why I started that channel, because I had ideas and I wanted to be a part of that community. And so by making my channel, I'm able to do that, even if I'm not consistent. If I just post like a video, you know, every 4 months, it doesn't matter to me because I'm not trying to make like a brand or do something big with that. For me, it's just a way for me to express myself and be a part of the community and contribute to that community.
Definitely. All right. So given that this is a tech podcast, I want to talk about some of the tech that you use in your everyday life. Now, if I remember correctly, you currently have the brand new 16-inch MacBook Pro that was just released last September, right?
Yes, I do.
And how are you liking that? How are you liking that machine?
I love it. I mean, I have some reservations, particularly the webcam. I don't understand. I don't understand why this is a thing. But I just don't feel like, if you're going to be charging $6,000 for a computer, why not have a 1080p webcam? But, whatever. It's not like that's a smart idea or anything like that. But so my computer, I got more or less, I got it maxed out. I mean, the specs are just really great for video editing. I've been playing games on it as well. And I mean, honestly, I just love it. Also the screen. I mean, the screen is great too. But like, you have to realize, like, I also came from a mid 2012 MacBook Pro Retina. Yeah. Oh. Right. Exactly. So anything that I got was going to be an upgrade.
Yeah.
But more than anything, I mean, that is truly a testament of like, hey, that MacBook lasted 7 years. It's a long time for a computer. In this day and age, that's a long time. Like most things don't last that long now. So I am really grateful that it lasted me that long, but I'm also really grateful that this came out at the right moment when I needed it, because I was not happy with the other MacBooks that were out. I was like, this is unacceptable. Like, there's not enough ports. Like, what is this? But now this is great. I mean, I can have like 4 hard drives plugged in at the same time. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I got a 16-inch MacBook Pro, the new one, about a month ago, and I love it too. I have the base model, but I mean, between the display and the speakers and Apple finally upgrading the keyboard away from that butterfly mechanism, this computer is definitely legit. Like, I can see why you are having such a good time with it, especially the display. I think probably the most noticeable thing about the 16-inch MacBook Pro is that display. I mean, it's amazing for consuming media. It's great for doing work on it, like editing videos, like stuff that we do. It's just an amazing device for pretty much all purposes.
Yeah, now that you actually bring it up, the speakers. So when I switched over, when I updated and got onto this computer, and I played something for the first time, I think it was Netflix, my volume was maybe at like a quarter of like the max, right? And it was so loud, and I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in a Dolby Atmos theater right now. Like, I'm like, what is this? Like, because in my other MacBook, like, I would have the volume all the way max and still I was like, the sound is going everywhere else but in my ears. Like, am I just deaf? Like, why can I not hear what is on I had to wear headphones all of the time. But now, because of these speakers, I have significantly reduced the amount of times that I wear headphones, which is great for me because I don't necessarily want to be wearing headphones all of the time. But yeah, I mean, the speakers have been really awesome. I can't really say I'm a fan of the touch bar yet. I still don't understand why I need it. I've set up a few like customizations on some of the apps that allow you to do that and stuff like that. So it has been like, I've found the practicality of it, but I also could have done without it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was fine without it. And I feel like if it had never been introduced into the world, I would have been fine too. Yeah?
Yeah, truth be told, the only time I use the touch bar is practically for emoji. That's it. If it's not emoji,
oh my God, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, the emojis. It's like it makes it so easy. Plus, it looks so pretty too, right? Like, you look down and all the colorful. It's so stupid.
I mean, but it's nice to have that option there. But like you said, if it's not for the emoji, I'm not using it. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I have used it for editing, which I didn't think that I was going to. I have used it for some stuff, but mainly just for like trimming, just basic stuff. But more than anything, I have keyboard shortcuts for all of that stuff when I'm editing. So it's like, it's already like in my brain to use the keyboard shortcut. So I just work faster that way. But I have used it for a couple things, especially like in Final Cut Pro, zooming out of the timeline, I use that little scrubber on the touch bar. Right. So I have used that just because I do often deal with very complex timelines on Final Cut. So I have a lot of layers and they're very long. And so there's a lot of stuff that's going on. So it does help to like zoom out every once in a while.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to have that better perspective of what you're doing on the timeline. No doubt. No doubt. So now we move on to your smartphone of choice. And what phone are you carrying right now?
I have the iPhone 8 Plus, and I'm actually tuned into the live stream.
There you go. There you go. For those of y'all listening on audio only, she is currently watching our live stream, the actual stream on her phone while she talks to me. So that's pretty cool. So how long have you had your 8 Plus?
I think since it came out. I think as soon as it came out, I ordered it actually. And I got it. Yeah, I mean, it was, I think I pre-ordered it too. I think like I got it exactly when it came out. So what, like 2 years ago? I think it's been. I think it's been
about three. About
to 2017, right?
Yep, 3 years. Yep.
Yeah. So that's how long I've had it.
So this brings up an interesting topic of conversation. So I know you're into tech a little bit, but I think it'd be fair to say that you're not a hardcore techie, right? Is that fair to say?
I mean, I feel like I am because I love computers, but I also am not, in the sense, I'm not like obsessed about that kind of stuff. But I'm also like that for everything, really. I mean, you know, like even at, like the things that I'm passionate about, I'm not very nitpicky about like, oh, well, like, you know, this camera, it's got this many megapixels and like this one, you know, it's got like this fisheye effect going on. So I don't like that. Like to me, it's just, if the tech works for you, then it's great, you know?
Boom.
And that's kind of how I see things.
No doubt. No doubt. So I'm curious to get your thought process. So you got the 8 Plus 3 years ago. You were way overdue for an upgrade, but I'm curious, what is your thought process when considering whether or not you're going to buy a new phone? I mean, what are you thinking about? What are some of the things that you look for?
Well, anytime I buy anything, I take forever, Vype. You know, you're going to laugh at me, but if I can make a spreadsheet, I would. This is serious, man. Like whenever I make a purchase, I think about it so much. And it's not about the money, but it's more so about, I love doing the research. Like whenever I buy anything, cameras, phones, like when I bought the iPhone 8 Plus, I watched as many videos as I could get my hands on. And I basically what I look for is I guess the first thing is a camera. I like looking at the camera. And again, like I said before, I'm not one of those people who's very specific about that kind of thing. I feel like, you know, if it's a good camera and if I can shoot 1080p, if I can shoot 4K, then like we're good. You know, it's going to be good. Most people are not going to notice the little details. They're not going to notice if a pixel is off. Most people are like that. Right. So I feel like, you know, if there is something that I can buy that will just make my life a little bit easier, then I'll buy it. But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably one of the first things that I look at. I mean, aside from just space, I like having space. I mean, like I went all out. I got the maxed out 8 Plus. I was like, because prior to that, I was running out of space constantly. Because I think I had like a 16 gigabyte or something like that. It was like, so it did not have enough space. It was horrible. Yeah, I was suffering.
I believe it. So building off of that, like I said, you have a 3-year-old iPhone. I'm pretty sure you can upgrade if you want to. So when do you think you'll get a new phone?
When this one stops working.
Oh, you're one of those people. See, okay, now we're getting to where. So you are one of those, I'm not buying a new one until this one breaks type. Okay.
Yeah, or unless I mean, it has to be something very cool, like something very different. And for the most part, I feel like the iPhone has kind of stayed the same for the past few years.
Yeah.
And not just like the iOS, but I mean the hardware. Like it's just kind of like the design doesn't get me excited. And the same thing happens with the MacBook as well. I mean, it hasn't changed very much, aside from like making the bezels maybe slightly thinner and, making the touchpad bigger. But like stuff like that is trivial. It just doesn't really matter to me very much. But if you do something that's completely innovative and different that gets me excited, then that's when I will probably come out of that bubble and then and invest in that.
Okay. Gotcha.
Which is the reason that I invested in the iPhone, the very first iPhone. I got the first iPhone in 2007. And that was, and I pre-ordered that too. I pre-ordered that and back at that time, you had to be on a contract with AT&T. Like you couldn't just buy it and have any carrier. You had to be with AT&T. And it's the reason why I'm still with AT&T now. It's because I signed that contract and I was like, oh yeah, I'm with you guys forever now.
Well, usually don't contracts are up after 2 years, but I feel you.
Yeah.
Yep. Yo, shout out to the 27 of you all that are watching this show live here on YouTube. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and Romina tonight. Thank you. Shout out to my man Even A, who brought me a coffee. I just got the notification about that, sir. So thank you very much for that. For those of y'all watching live, if you want to support the podcast, you do have the option to super chat. They are open. You can also become a channel member if you so choose. None of this stuff is required, but anything you're willing to do is greatly appreciated. Or if you're like Even A and you don't want YouTube to take 30% of your super chat donation, you have the option to buy me a coffee. The link is in the description. So appreciate you guys doing anything you can to help out the podcast. So thank you very much. Shout out to those of y'all listening on audio only today. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys rocking out each and every week. If you would like to donate monetarily to the podcast, there are links in the show notes for you to do that. So do that. Again, not required, but anything that you can do is greatly appreciated. Also, if you happen to be listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving a rating or review as it helps more people discover VypDrive. So thank you guys for listening each and every week. Romina, I am curious. Have you seen the newer iPhones, like the iPhone 10 and above? Have you looked at them at all?
Yeah, I have. You mean the one that's got the spider eyes?
Yeah, the notch, yeah. The spider eye. That's one way to talk about, but yeah, the notch, yeah.
Yeah, I have. Well, when I was between the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 8 Plus. And I decided to go with the iPhone 8 Plus because of, well, first of all, because of the home button. Mm-hmm. And I just wasn't sure, since it was new technology and stuff, and I was using my phone for work. I didn't want to risk it. And so I didn't go with it. But it does look nice. I mean, those do look nice. And it seems like Face ID hasn't been giving people too much trouble.
It worked very well.
It kind of works. Yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. I am surprised though that they didn't introduce that into this MacBook, into the 16-inch MacBook, the Face ID.
Right.
That was definitely something that was surprising. Even though I don't use it, I would have thought that they would have integrated it, since it's been a few years now since they've been working on that technology.
Yeah, I think it's the size of the sensors that they need to put into the phone. They have more room in the phone than I think they do with the bezels of the MacBook. So I think that's the only reason why they haven't been able to implement it yet. But I gotta believe somewhere in the near future that MacBook Pro will indeed come with Face ID, because it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, and we have Touch ID, which is cool. I have been using that a lot. Yeah, it's nice to just like walk up to my computer and just like touch it. Yeah.
Finger on the sensor, bam, you're into the computer. Absolutely. Now, do you have an Apple Watch by chance?
I do not have an Apple Watch.
You need to find yourself an Apple Watch.
I did have an Apple Watch for a while.
Wait, what? What do you mean? What do you mean you did? What is this did stuff? How did that work?
Well, I feel like, all right, Vibe. I'm just going to lay it down for you. The thing is that I am a minimalist, or I try to be, and I get a little bit overwhelmed when I have a lot of stuff around. And so, I mean, I tried the Apple Watch thing because I felt like it would help me to be more productive, but I felt like that was an excuse to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, it just became a thing that I was like, I don't really need this. And so it's not in my life anymore.
Now Romina, if you got an Apple Watch with LTE, that would allow you to be more of a minimalist because then you wouldn't have to carry your iPhone around all the time with you.
Is Apple paying you for this?
No, I'm just telling you, I have an Apple Watch with LTE myself. And sometimes I do leave the house without my iPhone because I have my Apple Watch with LTE and it's nice.
I think that if I did spend, I just feel like I don't exercise a lot. Like I don't go running or stuff like that. I do go out walking, but I just bring my phone because I like to take pictures with it. I can't take pictures with the Apple Watch.
Not technically, no.
Yeah, so
okay.
It's like, I mean, that's like to me, like the phone, all of my notifications are off. Like I've had notifications off since my first iPhone. The first iPhone, 2007, I bought it. Out of the box, I turned off all of the notifications. I haven't had notifications on ever on my phone. All my phone does is vibrate when I get a phone call. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That has to be an interesting thing, like not having any notification from anything. Wow.
Yeah. All I see is I see the little badge icon on my text messages, but I don't get dings, vibrates. I don't get any of that. It's just when I unlock my phone, I'll see that I have either an unread email message or an unread text message or a missed phone call.
Okay, let's get a little bit deeper into this because we, as of late, there's been a big attention paid to mental health and things like that, and the phones are now coming with screen time features that let you know how long you've been on the phone, and even some features which will encourage you to get off of the phone for a period of time. But you, Romina, you have taken entire social media hiatuses and things like that, and just dropped off the face of the electronic grid. So talk about your experience, like completely dropping off the face of the electronic grid. Like how does that feel when you do that?
I thought that it would be harder to do. I mean, particularly with Twitter, because I love Twitter. I'm like, I mean, I've been on Twitter, I think since 2007. Twitter has just been like my jam. And so I thought that it would be a lot more difficult to stay in touch with people, because that's really what's most important to me, is to be able to stay in touch with people and the people who are trying to communicate with me. But so what I've been doing is, so I just haven't had Twitter and Instagram on my phone for, I don't know, I guess it's been over 3 weeks now. And I have just been using those two websites through my desktop on my browser. So whenever I check my messages, whenever I respond to people on Twitter, it's on my desktop. And I have I have Buffer, which is kind of, it's like Hootsuite, and it's just a scheduling app. And so I use that in order to post on Twitter, and I can use it for Instagram too. So I just use that for posting, and that I do have on my phone, because it's not very distracting to have. And I guess it's been interesting. But yeah, I think one of the biggest things is I don't really have an addictive personality. I feel like if I want to do something, then I do it. But then if I want to stop, then I can just stop, and I don't feel like I have to keep doing it. I don't experience FOMO very much. And doing this, I've been able to focus more on like my projects and stuff. But on top of that, I've also not looked at Twitter first thing in the morning, which was starting to have a negative effect on me, mainly because of the climate of the world as it is, or it has been in the past 2 months. And so it's I kind of equate it to like looking at the news first thing in the morning. It's like Twitter, you know, if something's going down, then it's like it might have a negative impact, and I don't really necessarily want to start off the day that way. I want to have a clear mind and then go into it and be able to, you know, properly communicate how I'm feeling and what I'm thinking and stuff. But I still love Twitter, and Instagram is still fun, but I just do it on my computer right now. I don't know if that's how it's always going to be, Vype. I don't know, but that's how it is right now. But you know, it's and I am going to say, because I am noticing that someone in the chat is saying, is she really into technology? They're questioning me.
They are.
Yeah, I am. I actually built my first computer. Well, my first computer that I had was bought, but my second computer I actually built. And this was some 20 years ago, 20 something years ago. So, and that was, I love technology. I'm just not a jerk about it.
That's one way to put it down.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
Okay. Hey, you know what? At the end of the day, you got to take care of yourself. So whatever you feel is best for your mental health, that's what you got to do.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But like I said, you have another channel on YouTube dedicated to working remotely. So I'm interested in finding out and learning about the tech that you use while you're working remotely.
Ooh, that's fun. Ooh, all right. Okay, so I guess, well, the first one is my iPhone 8 Plus. I definitely use that. Like, that is my office, pretty much. Also, my computer, MacBook Pro, 16-inch. I also have, well, my camera is the Sony A5100.
Ooh, nice.
Which I chose that camera. I actually went a few years back than what was on the market at the time when I bought it. And I got this camera because, again, Vype, I did research for like 3 months before I bought this.
Of course. Refreshing.
Yeah. And I got this because it shoots amazing video. I feel like it's one of the underrated cameras from that Alpha line from Sony. It's a really great quality camera for the compact size. It's so small, and it has interchangeable lenses, so I can still be flexible with the kind of content that I make. So it's a perfect camera for me for the type of stuff that I'm doing. Then aside from that, I also have the Zoom H1 handy recorder, and I use that for external sounds. I typically only use that if I'm in a very windy area, or if there's a lot of noise or something like that, then I might pull that out. But for the most part, I just use the internal mic on my camera, which is also really great. And then I actually just bought this Vype. Now you're gonna say, welcome to 2020. You're gonna say when I pull this out. But so I just bought this. I swear I'm into technology. I just bought this and I'm very excited. So I bought myself the Kindle e-reader.
Ooh.
And I have been loving this so much. So I didn't get the Oasis, which is the brand new one, which is like, I don't know, $300 or something ridiculous like that. I got the middle tier one, and it's been really, really great because I feel like most people don't know this, but you can get free ebooks through your library card. So and you can get audiobooks too. So, and this is free, right? So if you do want to have content and you feel like, you know, if you want to consume some stuff, read some books, The library is the way to go. Is the way to go, kids. But but this the e-reader, it's been so great. I mean, I've just been loving it so much. It's really great just to have, you know, access to all of these books in one place. And this is I'm like, it took me so long just to get an e-reader.
So you have
that I should have got a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, e-readers are pretty good if you're a big, heavy reader. But I'm curious, you have the e-reader. How do you feel about iPad?
So I actually did have an iPad. I actually had multiple iPads. I used to have a lot of iPads. And it was because of different reasons, because I just had an iPad and then I got another one and then I got one for work. And then so I just ended up having like a bunch of iPads in my house. But then I sold them all because I wasn't using them. But I do like the iPads. I think that they are fun. But again, it's kind of just like having an oversized iPhone, I feel like. Although, if you have the iPad Pro, I feel like you can get a little bit more nitty-gritty with the kind of stuff that you're doing, which I think is cool. I have looked into the iPad Pro mainly because I like to draw.
Ooh,
and Procreate. I used to have Procreate on my laptop, on my iPad that I had, and Procreate, it was so great to do so many things. And I think that for drawing, I think if you're an illustrator, iPad is without a doubt, it's amazing. But I have been seeing some people doing editing work on the iPad, which is surprising. Yeah. I can't say I've tried that. And I would love to try it. I feel like, I mean, that seems so cool. I mean, imagine if I could just travel and all I had to bring was an iPad and I didn't have to carry this 4-pound laptop around.
All right. So I am the man about tech. I am the captain of Team Apple. So let me give you a little bit of a recommendation here. If you ever have the funds or the opportunity, you should definitely look into an iPad Pro. You don't even have to get the 2020. If you can find a 2018 somewhere, you can get that. Get yourself an iPad Pro and an Apple Pencil and go to town. There's an editing app on iPad called LumaFusion, which works wonders. I used it for a few months for my YouTube video myself, so I know it works very well. Obviously, with the iPad Pros and that second generation Apple Pencil, you can go to town with Procreate. I'm not a big drawer myself, but I was just talking to Shelly about this last night on the podcast, and she's a big fan of Procreate as well. So I know a lot of people that swear by Procreate. Not to mention that, I don't know if you're aware, Romina, but now Apple has split up iOS and iPad OS. So now the iPad has its own OS, which makes it a lot more functional than it has in the past. It has a few more features on iPad that don't exist on iPhones right now. Like on iPads, you can do actual real multitasking. You can have like two apps. You can have two apps running side by side. You can have a slide overview. You got picture-in-picture. I mean, there's just a bunch of different things that you could do on iPad that you can't do on iPhone. So I think that you might find the iPad a much better device than when you had your back. I don't know when you had your, but iPads are legit.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I also like the keyboard Yeah.
I mean, I got the new Magic Keyboard that just came out. If you can spring the money, I would highly recommend it. Best keyboard I ever used on an iPad, but it is no price.
Which iPad do you have?
I have two of them right now. I have an 11-inch 2018 iPad Pro, and I just picked up the 12.9-inch 2020 iPad Pro.
Ooh, yeah. That's fancy. What are you using it for?
All right, so on my iPad, well, mostly I use it for media consumption. I've been binge watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer on it lately. But when I'm not binge watching Buffy, I am making my thumbnails for my YouTube videos. You know, I do have LumaFusion on there when I do want to do editing on the iPad. I'm watching. I like you, Romina. I am currently watching
Star Trek.
The live stream. Nope, not Star Trek. I have our live stream on the iPad right now. Hey, is that girl? Who's that girl? That's Romina. For those of y'all listening audio only, I'm showing Romina a picture of herself on my iPad for right now. This is kind of Romina. This is Romina-ception. That's what it is. But yes, I look at the live chat on my iPad. I do a lot of things on my iPad. I love these iPad Pros. They are legit. But yeah, like I said, if you have the opportunity, you should definitely look into an iPad.
Yeah,
Pro.
Well, maybe in like 6 months or something. I'm still recovering from the MacBook. Right. One step at a time, Vype. One step at a time.
No doubt, no doubt. Hey, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. They're not going anywhere. So when it's time, Romina, when it's time, you do what you got to do.
Oh yeah, they're definitely not going anywhere. If
No, they're
anything, the
not.
MacBook might be going somewhere.
I don't think the MacBook going anywhere either. But right now, I would tell people if you are trying to choose between a MacBook and an iPad, you might want to look more towards the iPad.
Yeah, I think it also depends on what it is that you're doing too, and the kind of stuff, obviously, which I've thought about before. But obviously, I mean, I do a lot of stuff with my computer, and I feel like probably the biggest thing is just I'm not only editing, my own videos, but I'm also doing client work as well. And so there's like a lot of kind of like I can't just depend on the iPad, I feel like, yet.
Right. Yep.
But it is something that I have considered reinvesting in. Maybe sometime in the future when there's a little bit of extra expense to spare on something that's a little bit like a luxury item, because I definitely don't need it now, but it is something that would be fun and useful maybe.
Definitely. You go catch up on all your Star Trek on it too, no doubt.
Ooh.
Yeah. I know, right? I know how you get down. I know.
Yeah.
We got a big Star Trek fan on our hands here, which I'll get to in a minute here. But you are a successful content creator. You are a badass businesswoman. Your whole ideology is reject the 9-to-5, which means she worked for herself, people. That's how legit she is. So I want to talk about how you came to reject the 9-to-5 and work for yourself. How did that all come to play?
It all started from me just wanting to have control of my own life. And I first started, so I was doing acting at the time, and I didn't want to have a job that would get in the way of my auditions. And so because of that, I started to get creative with the ways that I was making income. And in that, production came along. I established my company. I have done web design. I've done social media consultation. I have done social media management. I have done photography. I had a photography business for a while, and video editing, production. So I've done all sorts of things. Oh, also organizing. I've also been a professional organizer. That lasted for like 3 months. And I think it's just the idea of just having my own thing and being able to contribute to society in the way that I want to, and without fringes, and be able to directly see the change and the impact that I'm making in people's lives. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because a lot of people they have that mentality and they want to be able to work for themselves and start their own business, but only very few people can actually become legitimate entrepreneur. But you, like I said, you have gotten it done. You are the boss lady.
Yeah, I think, well, it's challenging, it's challenging, and it's definitely something that I don't see very often. I see the luxurious side of it, and the pros of it, but there's also a lot of cons as well, which is, deciding when to quit your business and when to move on to the next venture and that kind of thing. Those are those kind of things that I hope to be able to discuss on my channel. And also just the very, maybe not so glamorous aspect of it, which is the admin side of it, like the administration and what it actually takes to just do stuff on your own, and that you do have to be somewhat organized, and you do have to be productive and know your stuff. You have to know what it is that you're doing, and be able to recognize when you don't know what you're doing and have to outsource and hire someone else or move on to do something different. And that takes a lot of willpower, a lot of being able to look at yourself and see what you're doing and be able to make those changes for your business.
No doubt, no doubt. And like I said, you have done very well. But now, Romina, I am curious about this Star Trek odyssey that you have journeyed on. You began. So for those of y'all that are not aware, Romina she's like on this epic binge mission objective to watch every single piece of Star Trek content, movie, TV show, whatever, that has ever been made. She is watching all of it, and I believe she's doing it in chronological order. And of course, she has a spreadsheet for this because it's Romina. She has a spreadsheet. But I'm just curious, where did this come from? Where did the desire to watch every single piece of Star Trek content come from? Like, why?
For the culture.
For the culture, baby. Yes.
Yes. Mainly it's because I'm a huge nerd. I'm a big sci-fi geek. I just love sci-fi, and I had seen some Star Trek stuff before, but I had never done a deep dive into the whole universe, into this franchise, which has shaped so much of not only science fiction, but real world, has made a real world impact as well, and has influenced real life organization and people. And I felt like, as someone who was in the film industry, and someone who was a sci-fi nerd, and someone who was into all of these things, not being into Star Trek, I just felt like I was in the wrong. And so I decided to just start watching Star Trek, and I started to do it in chronological order. I still am, but I started to do it in chronological order because I was like, well, where do I start? Like, where do you start with a franchise that has like 6 different series, countless films? Like, where do you start, right? So I was like, well, season 1, episode 1 of the very first show, right? That's where I'm gonna start. And so I did. And first episode I was not a fan of. Second episode had me hooked. Like, I swear, once I got into the second episode, I was like, oh, it was like I saw, like, it's like that scene in Clockwork Orange. Not Clockwork Orange, sorry. The 2001 A Space Odyssey. There's that scene where he just like sees like the dimensions and just like sees everything. It was like that. Like, I was like, oh my God, I get it, And then finally I just kept watching, and I just binge watched, and I fell in love, and I just completely fell in love. And I say this, and I don't say this lightly, but Star Trek changed my life. And I feel like it has made an impact on my everyday decisions, on who I am, the actions that I take, the things that I'm interested in, the things that I say. It has definitely influenced me in a very positive way. I feel like it's helped me to get a better picture of the bigger picture of, of the world and science fiction.
That is pretty cool. Like, I still cannot believe you're on this epic binge to watch every single Star Trek show, movie, whatever ever made. That's amazing. And I'm pretty sure you'll get through it all. I know you will definitely get it done.
Yeah, I mean, the entire thing. So as Vype said, I made a spreadsheet. And the reason that I made a spreadsheet is because, again, there's so much content. I wanted to make sure that I was getting through all of it. And I didn't make the spreadsheet until after I had already started watching, because it was like I started watching it and I actually did like it. And I was so invested in it. I was like, oh my God, I gotta consume everything now. And so that's when I made the spreadsheet. And in making the spreadsheet, I calculated how many hours or how many days it would take to watch the entire thing. And I think it's something like 24 days and some hours and minutes, like 24 full 24-hour days. Like, it's a lot of content, a lot of minutes watched.
Oh yes, no doubt.
I mean, I started watching in December of 2017.
Okay.
And I'm currently still watching.
Wow.
And I watch almost every single day. I watch a piece of Star Trek content every single day. Unless I'm traveling, if I'm traveling, then I'm not in front of a screen watching anything. But when I'm at home, I'm watching something. I watch a little bit of a Star Trek content every single day. And even with doing that, I'm still working on it. So,
which means your boy Viper is currently holding our girl Romina from Star Trek. I'm holding her up right now. not even look.
It's so many words.
She's trying to kill me. She's ready to kill me right now. I need to let her go. All right. So I am curious. I know you're not a big techie, but you do have some tech. You are aware of how technology works and how fast it moves. So I think it's safe to say, Romina, that we are pretty much reached peak smartphone. As far as like hardware advancements and things like that, we can't really go much further with the smartphone. I know right now we're really trying to get into AI and augmented reality. Wearables are becoming a big thing. So, in your opinion, where do you think the next big frontier for technology is, and where are we going next as far as big tech goes?
I think robotics. I think robotics is where it's at.
Ooh.
It's definitely something that I've been behind. I mean, I was on my robotics team for a couple years, and one of my favorite authors, he basically coined the term robotics as we know it, which is Isaac Asimov. And the idea behind robotics is not just, like Haley Joel Osment in artificial intelligence. Like, we're not talking about like humanoid robots at this point. I'm talking more robotics in the sense of creating automation and creating AI in order to relieve some of the work and some of the work that a human doesn't necessarily have to do. Like, if there is a task that can be automated, then a human shouldn't have to do it and can focus on other things, like building those robots, right?
Right.
So I think that the next big frontier, it would probably be that.
Oh, you sound so much like Roberto right now. Me and Roberto have talked endlessly about how the future and pretty much automation, a lot of jobs that exist today won't exist in the next 10 years because they'll all be automated out and things like that. So,
right.
I think definitely there will be more AI and more automation in the future. You are absolutely right.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I definitely see that more and more every day, and it's something that, I mean, we see it now, and even with Elon Musk and his fleet of trucks, his semi trucks. That's like, just think about it. If we have these fleet of automobiles that are transporting our goods automatically without having a driver, you're eliminating the thing in between that's holding progress back. And I don't know, I kind of see hope in that. I see a future in that.
So like I said, me and Roberto have talked about how automation is gonna like take away some of the human work that's being done now. Do you have a fear that too much automation might lead to the elimination of like too many human jobs and stuff like that?
No, I don't think so. Well, I mean, yes, it is going to eliminate jobs, but I don't think that it's a negative impact. I feel like there is going to be, so with any kind of progress that we've experienced in the past, like for human history, there are generations that will suffer from that. And it is something that that is inevitable because it happens. But that leads to the next generation, which will benefit from that suffrage, right? And I do think that there are going to be jobs that will be lost, but that doesn't mean that those humans are now worthless or that they don't have anything to do, because there will be other jobs that will need to be done. There's going to be maintenance of the AI. There's going to be maintenance of those robots. There's going to be new skills that have to be learned. And, with any kind of progress, there's a certain level of adaptation that needs to take place. And to be able to adapt to that, you have to be willing to take these risks and to be able to learn these new skills.
Mm-hmm. Damn, that was deep, Romina. Damn. Woo! That was some deep stuff right there. I like it. I love it. Nice. Very nice. So before we got to here, I am curious, what is your current favorite piece of technology that you own?
Oh, well, I'm going to be biased because I just bought the Kindle. So it's like the new toy in the house. But I think still it's my MacBook. I mean, I'm loving my MacBook. It's this powerful machine, but it also is nice. It looks nice and it's sleek and it's also lightweight, so I can take it with me anywhere. My office can come with me no matter where I go. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to go probably gonna have to go with that.
Okay, different question. Well, kind of the same question, different way. What have been your quarantine go-to piece of tech?
My MacBook. I feel like, I feel like my MacBook, because I have been trying to use my phone less because of the size of the screen. And also because it just seems so addictive. I don't know why, but it's just so, I think what it is because if I have an app on the phone and I go to open it, then I notice that there's other apps that I can open to, and then I go ahead and I open those apps, and then I got a text message, so then I respond to that. And so it's like what might be like me just opening up to check Credit Karma, ends up with me, sending memes to everybody. It's just like 2 hours later, right? So it's just it's like this hole that just keeps going down. And I just don't feel that way on my computer. I feel like I can really separate when I'm going to be productive and when I'm going to be doing something else.
Well, before I got my 2020 iPad Pro, my answer probably would have been the same. My MacBook Pro, very addicting. Like I said, I've only had it for maybe a month, 2 months. So I couldn't put my MacBook Pro down, but then I got the iPad Pro 2020 and I've been on that pretty much nonstop. So yeah, these Apple products can be very addicting and also very expensive.
You got that right.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Yes. Oh yeah. Romina. Awesome conversation. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
Thank you. Before we get out of here, let the people know where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on planet Earth. God,
I love this woman. Oh, this woman is awesome.
Website, redromina.com. It's probably got everything you need. It's got my Twitter, it's got my Instagram, it's got my YouTube. I'm Red Romina everywhere. If you just Google Red Romina, you'll find me.
Y'all hear her? She said, you can go to my website.
Just go to my website.
Just go to her website. No doubt.
Actually, if you do go to my website, there is under the Photos tab. If you go to Photos, you'll see there's a Final Frontier page. And it's got pictures of me on a recreation of the set of the Enterprise from Star Trek, the original series. So if you want to see those pictures, that's up on my website.
Is that one of those pictures of you in that red uniform?
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. Nice. No doubt. For those of y'all watching this live, thank you very much for watching us live today. I appreciate you guys rocking out with me and Romina. Thank you so much. If you donated, brought me a coffee, any of that stuff, if you subscribe to the channel, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. For those of you all listening on audio only, thank you for listening to another edition of VypDrive with me and Miss Romina here. I appreciate you guys. Again, if you want to support the podcast monetarily, there will be links in the show notes for you to do that. So I thank you guys again. None of this stuff is required, but anything that you can provide, donate, whatever, greatly appreciate it. Also, if you happen to be listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, consider leaving a rating or review as to help more people discover VypDrive, and that is what we want. We've actually made it into the top 200 of tech podcasts on Apple Podcasts before, so I'm trying to get back there, trying to get this podcast to maybe a top 100 podcast sometime in the future. So anything that you can do to aid that will be greatly appreciated. But we are out of here this week. We'll be back next week with another edition of the podcast. For those of y'all watching live, I'll be back tomorrow with Michelle Martinez. But until the next time, people, this your boy Viper, the man about tech. You know where to find me. So come back for more.